Thank you for clicking on this video, and today I'm going to share with you on how to make the analog clock timer tick with Change Notifier. So this whole video is all about Change Notifier. So what I'm going to go through is what is a Change Notifier, when to use it, how to implement it. At the end of this video, I will share on the comparison with bloc, setState, and Change Notifier. So what is a Change Notifier? Imagine you are a factory manager that has factory workers that's working under you. So initially when you start your work, you give some instructions to your factory workers, which is also like your widgets. So your widgets will listen to any instructions or data that they need in order for them to work. And sometimes your factory worker or your widgets have something that you want to change in the other parts of your factory. For example, the packer has some package that he packed wrongly. So you are also like the middleman. He will give you the error, and this error needs to be delivered to the person who is going to deliver. So you then send the error to the person that is doing the delivery for that day. Overall, Change Notifier is something like a middleman for your widgets and yourself to send data and change UI here and there. So when do you use it? Use Change Notifier when it needs a data, it needs to change the data, or change the UI in another widget. So in our example, in our Neumorphic timer app, we will have a timer Change Notifier class. It will be activated when a user press on the play button, and then you will notify the analog timer and the Neumorphic pie bar in order for them to change their UI. So this will start ticking from 1, 2, 3, 4, and this will slowly fills it up. What if you press on the reset timer? So the reset widget will be pressed and it will indicate timer to reset. So what the timer does is to also notify the analog clock to become 0 and the Neumorphic pie bar to start from 0. So let's implement our Change Notifier. So before that, we need to create this simple Neumorphic button over here. So what we can do is we can have a child . Let's put in a container first, and at the same time let's refactor it. Let's call it Neumorphic play button. Alright, so the Neumorphic play button has been created. So let's create a Neumorphic play button file. New play button dot. So let's copy and paste, and let's import the material library. Alright, the next step is that we need to make it Neumorphic. So what we can do is we can make it a stateful widget, and let's copy all of this from isPressed and let's paste it over here. Okay, so let's remove any redundant variables. Okay, next thing is that our child will not be a text, so we will have a icon. So let's put icon, and let's initialize with our icons play arrow. Let's have a size of 60, and let's have our color to have a color of green. Let's put a green accent, maybe with a shade of 400. Okay, so let's save this. So currently nothing is appearing. It's because we did not delete our new play button. So let's delete this, and let's import this from our file that we have just created. Now you can see that it is like a square. So what you can do is to have our shape as a circle. Alright, so let's save this. So you can see here, box shaped circle cannot have a border radius. So let's do that. Now it's quite a big circle. Also at the same time, let's put our reset button widget in another file. My mistake, let's put our new play button outside the timer inside our library over here. So let's go example.dot. Let's import it in somewhere different. And let's delete this library. Okay, let's save this. Let's create another file. Let's call it new reset button dot. Then inside our example.dot, let's copy both the reset button widgets and paste this inside over here. While at the same time, let's import the material.dot and we import the Google Fonts also. And let's import our reset button from the file that we have just created. Okay, looks like everything is working. So now inside our example.dot, let's create our change notifier. In order for us to create our own change notifier, we need to create a class. So let's call this timer service. And we will extend the timer service with a change notifier class. So this is how you create a change notifier. So inside our timer service, let's create a stopwatch. So let's have a variable called watch. And let's have the constructor to initialize the stopwatch for us. So let's type in watch is equal to stopwatch instance. So let's initialize our watch with a stopwatch instance. Go to your new play button and make the on pointer down function into a bracket, into its own function. At the same time, let's call the watch instance that we have created inside our timer service change notifier with a start. And then after that, go to your Neumorphic digital clock and under your seconds widget. So what you can do is you can initialize a duration variable with the provider of the type timer service, and you can put this duration inside the seconds for now. And lastly, in order for all of these two widgets to be able to get the data, is to use this thing called the change notifier provider that has the time service, and you can just insert our time service with an instant under the create parameter. Alright, so let's save all of this, and now let's also change our minutes to 00 so it doesn't confuse us. Okay, so will this work? Alright, so there must be an error. So inside our debug console, there is this thing where we are just using the stopwatch function and we are not updating according to the timer service change notifier. So to fix it, we need to have our listen into false. So if we were to go to the new play button and under our context, let's have our listen to be false. Okay, let's save this. Alright, this should work, right? Let's click on it. Nothing happens. Let's see if there's an error. So after we reloaded our library, there's no error. How about we just save this? Wait, 14 seconds has just passed. Let's save this. 18 seconds. 20 seconds. So what does this mean? Well, this means that our stopwatch is actually working, but it is not updating in our widgets that are listening. In order for change notifier to update the UI of our widgets that are listening, we have to use this thing called notify listeners. Notify listeners is where it notifies all of the widgets that is listening and updates the UI accordingly. So one thing that we shouldn't expose is our watch. So let's make this into a private variable. So our stopwatch cannot be used. However, we can make use of this class, which is called timer. So timer allows us to do some ticking, and what we can do is we can initialize it with the timer. So it's under the async library. So the only time that we initialize our timer is when we have a function called start. So let's create a function called start with no arguments, and inside here let's initialize our timer with a timer periodic. So periodic meaning that how long of a duration should we tick? So we are ticking for only 1 second. So let's put seconds as 1. And at the same time, we will have a function that uses our time that have passed to do stuff. So what we can do is we can initialize another variable called duration. So let's put this as current duration. This current duration will be listened inside our analog clock. And we can initialize at the start using duration dot 0. So that means any properties that we have, for example, in hours, in minutes, in days, in seconds, is going to return 0. So inside this timer, so we can set our current duration as the watch elapsed timing. Okay. Now at the same time, if we never start our watch, the current duration will be always 0. So let's start our watch in our start function. Alright. So in summary, once our stopwatch starts, our timer then will check on our stopwatch ticks, and this will set the current duration as how much time have passed using our stopwatch. So this is a little bit complicated, but this works. And at the same time, so this will work, right? Not really, because we are just updating the current duration. However, any widgets that are listening will not be updated. From the previous problem that we had, the only thing that we are missing is this thing called notify listeners. Alright. So what we can do is we can have this current duration being called in the different widgets. So let's have a getter method. Let's have the type duration, getter method, current duration, and let's return the current duration. Okay, so inside our digital clock, let's delete the watch elapsed duration and let's type in current duration. And inside our play button, we can have the function start. Let's save in all the files. Will this work? Let's see. Oh, there's an error. The method start was called on null. Receiver now try calling start. It is not working. There must be something wrong, right? So we are actually missing one line of code. So what notify listener does is that it only updates our timer and makes our watch start. It is working. You could see that the time is over here, but that means something is not updating, because inside this brackets is only updating but not notifying. So what we need to do is to add a notify listener inside our function. So let's save this and reset here. Okay, so now will this work? Congratulations, our timer now is ticking. Alright, the next thing that we want to do is to reset. So if we press on reset, then our timer will just start from 0. So what we can do is we can create a function called reset function. So for the reset function, what we need to do is, first thing is that we need to stop the timer, or we need to stop our stopwatch. So let's underscore watch dot stop. Then after having it to stop, we will also want to reset. Then at the same time, our current duration will be 0. Another thing that we can do is that our timer that is now ticking, we have to stop it. So we can put in timer dot cancel. And lastly, we will definitely need to notify our listeners. So let's go to our Neumorphic reset button. So the same thing goes with their on pointer down is from the new play button. What you can do is you can just copy this and paste it over here. So let's import these two libraries and let's reset. So let's save this. Okay, let's see what happens. So if we play this, and if you press the reset button, right, our timer has stopped. Let's play again. And let's reset. It stops. Very good. Now lastly, we are going to stop instead of reset. So let's create a stop function. So what's the difference between the reset and stop? So if we were to stop, for example, if we were to play 2 and 3 seconds, if we stop it, we want to see the time that is stopped on. So that means our watch has to stop, and then our current duration will be equal to the watch timing. So it's elapsed. At the same time, let's notify our listeners. Alright, this should be enough, right? Okay, so inside our play button, we have to make this into a stop icon when we have pressed this play button. So what we can do is to make use of the setState. Let's create a boolean called is running. Then inside our button over here is running, we will stop it, and if it's not running, we will start it. So let's stop it and let's start it. I think we can refactor this, so copy this and let's create a variable called timer service and let's insert it over here. Okay, let's see if it works. So if we play this, so start ticking. If we stop this, it did not stop. So one thing that we need to do is to set state. So let's put it inside here, set state. Let's make this into a, so we will have is running will be the opposite of is running. Okay, so let's restart this. Okay, let's start. So it's currently counting, and we press again, it didn't stop. So why does it not stop? Have you seen the error? Yes, you could see that now we have 2 starts. So what we need to do, if it's running, then we need to stop it. So let's save this, and then if you were to press this, now it stops. Press again, it starts. Press again, it stops. Alright, if we reset this, great. If we start this, it's running, and we reset, it will stop. Now we need to change our icon and our colors. So a very simple ternary is running. So we will have an icon that says stop, right? And let's have pause. Let's copy the ternary and let's have our colors. Have a red accent with a shadow 400. So let's restart this. Okay, so let's play. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can stop. It stops here. Reset goes to 0. Play. 1, 2, 3. Okay, another thing is that if we were to press the reset button, it stops, but we want it to run, because once we reset, it goes to 0 and it still keep on playing. How do we do that? Alright, so what we can do is we can create a isRunning getter method whether our watch is running. So inside our Neumorphic reset button, we can have the isRunning getter. At the same time, let's refactor this. Let's put it as timer service that we call from the provider itself. Rename this as timer service. So if timer service is running, what we can do is that after we reset and stop it, we can start it again. So if timer is running, timer service then can start. Let's see this. So we play this 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we reset. Doesn't work because inside our reset we stop it. So what we can do is that we can make use of the watch is running method. So a simple if statement over here, if it's running, if it's not running, watch stop. If it's not, then watch will just reset itself. So under reset, it does not stop or start the stopwatch. So let's save this and see if it works. So let's start this and let's reset this. Yeah, it works. So we stop this, reset this, and we play again. Alright, that's it. So that's how you implement change notifier inside the Neumorphic timer app. Alright, so this is the part where you are waiting for, hopefully. So these are the comparison between setState, change notifier, and bloc. Why did I choose these three state management? It's because I have experienced them for quite a while, and I think I have more than enough knowledge for me to give my opinion on them. So for setState, it's the simplest form of state management, and I believe it's optimized for one widget state. For change notifier, it is very similar to scope model. It is moderately simple and it uses a fair amount of code, so it can be heard by any amount of widgets by the provider. So we use the change notifier provider over here. Change notifier is available inside the Flutter library. However, change notifier provider is only available inside the provider library. That's the difference between change notifier and change notifier provider. And this can be upgraded to change notifier proxy provider. So if you want to know more about change notifier proxy provider, maybe with Firebase authentication, leave in the comments down below. And lastly, bloc. Blocs deals with streams and sinks, and it is difficult to implement and get started because you have to learn what is streams and sinks, and there's a lot of boilerplate that you have to work around with. Also, it can be heard using provider and inherited widget. And the plus point is that it can create complex async functionalities. You can have behavior subject and you can have combined streams. Very useful if you have a lot of data that is updated accordingly. So these are my comparison. So if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one. Bye bye.